Welcome to the How to Grow Your Food Processing Business Beyond Manitoba's Borders webinar series, Developing an Expansion Plan webinar that is hosted in partnership with Manitoba Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. Today's webinar will discuss strategies for success in different markets, what to include in a market expansion plan, and identify BDC financing and advisory solutions to help with market expansion and business growth. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kathy Sawchuk, and I am a business development specialist with the Manitoba Agriculture Value Added Branch. I would like to start this webinar today with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that Manitoba is on treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Dakota Oyates, Denisovan, and Nehethawak peoples. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Before we get started, we'll go over a couple of housekeeping items. Everyone's mic has been muted and camera off to minimize presentation interruptions. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please enter them in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, and I'll make sure that they are addressed by the speakers after the presentation is complete. The webinar is also being recorded and will be sent out to all registrants next week, along with a brief survey requesting your feedback on the webinar. So let's get started. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our two speakers today, Miriam Sulam and Claudia Sammer from the Business Development Bank of Canada, also known as BDC. Miriam is an experienced banker with over 10 years of experience in retail, small business, and commercial banking. Miriam graduated from the Asper School of Business at the University of Manitoba with an MBA in 2016, and since then has gained experience with various financial institutions such as TD and HSBC. Currently, she serves as the Senior Commercial Account Manager for BDC. Her role involves helping small and medium-sized businesses grow via financing and consulting services. BDC provides various programs and business expansion, and Miriam has helped several businesses in interprovincial expansion. Miriam loves traveling. Her hobbies include playing badminton, reading books, and more. Claudia Sammer is a business advisor for BDC, and she manages an advisory projects in the prairies for companies under $5 million in revenue. Miriam and Claudia, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for attending this webinar series. Today, we'll be discussing about the expansion plan and how BDC can help companies and businesses achieve their expansion goals. So let's start with the presentation. So the agenda for this presentation would be how to finance the growth, some of the strategies for success in different markets, market expansion plan, and advisory support services that BDC provides. So for those of you who are not aware about BDC, Business Development Bank of Canada was formed in 1944. Our mandate is to help out small, medium, and even large corporations so that they can add value to the Canadian economy, create more jobs. And we do that by having financing, advisory, and capital support services. So we have offices coast to coast, more than 110 business centers, and we are over 2,100 employees right now. So as I mentioned before, some of the services that BDC provide is flexible financing. So as a senior account manager, our office in Winnipeg is in True North Square on the 9th floor. I help mostly on the financing side. My colleague today, Claudia, she is the leader for the advisory services, and we do have a team for capital solutions as well. So just to tell you a little bit about BDC, what we do and what we don't do. So some of the things that we do not do is we don't offer bank accounts, line of credit, RRSPs, interest-free loans, and we don't deal in residential space at all. We are a flexible lender. We work as a complementary partner with other institutions such as credit union and chartered banks. We don't compete with them. Our strategy is to share risk, and we fill the market gaps by maximizing the financing alternatives which are available to different businesses. So how to finance growth? This is a question which is on top of everybody's mind right now, given how the world is changing, how the uncertainty is happening around the world. So some of the solutions that we help with the growth in terms of financing is I can help with like market expansion loan. If somebody is willing to expand domestically or internationally, purchase order financing, equipment and machinery financing, new technology purchases, investment in research and development, products and processes. So on the financing side, from BDC, I've done a lot of projects such as working capital financing, where a client, let's say, if they got a new contract with a supplier and they want more resources or funds, then BDC can help them with working capital financing. We also do project-based financing. So if you want to hire employees, get funds for training, you want to set up a new equipment or a new facility, we do help with commercial real estate financing, equipment purchase, startup, and also business ownership transition financing. Let's say if a business wants to grow by acquiring a business in another province. So BDC can help with all the share purchases, asset purchases, and I can guide you through the whole process on that. On the advisory side, we do have services like financial management, operational efficiency, business strategy, and some other solutions which Claudia will discuss later in the presentation. So how are we different? So BDC is different. As I mentioned before, we are a patient lender. We don't compete with other banks. Our solutions kind of differ in terms of the working capital loans or the loans that we do. We offer a higher percentage of financing. There is a longer repayment period for real estate loans, commercial real estate, we can go up to 25-year in amortization. And then for working capital loans or working capital expansion loan, we can go up to maximum 8-year in amortizations. We also offer like first year as the principal postponement period. So client can just do interest only for the first year and they can build up their working capital. We are a non-demand lender, so rain or shine, BDC is always there to help out the clients. And we have a higher risk tolerance and also lower down payment, so businesses can grow as soon as they can. The financing process is usually, if a client is interested in expansion, they need to have like an expansion plan, application forms, government photo IDs, and then I can guide them through the next steps. So given what's happening in the global context right now, how can Canada and US are discussing about the tariffs right now, one of the suggestions from the government is the interprovincial trade within Canada could add up to $50 billion to Canadian economy. So it is very important for businesses in Canada right now to expand, like to add more trade to the interprovincial side, and then later to the export side as well. So strategies for success in different markets. So which strategy is most important for success in a foreign market? I would all want you to just think a few seconds about which options do you think can help when you are going to a foreign market? So a lot of you might be thinking conducting market research can be one of the ways how you can expand in a different market. The second can be traveling to target markets, or such as attending different trade shows. Another could be developing business contact in target markets. Next is observing the competition and assessing the competition. So, to your surprise, the top three strategies out of all the strategies that I have discussed, there are top three strategies for success in any foreign markets, which were identified in a BDC study. And the most important of it all is assessing the foreign competition. So it is said that firms who assess the foreign competition in the market, they are likely to grow 171% in sales. The next is make sure that you are allocating sufficient resources to your expansion plan. Make sure you are financially, you have the working capital, you have the resources, and you have the infrastructure right before you enter any foreign market. Lastly, it's also important that management should view the export or the expansion as vital to the business's overall success. So once you have all these three factors combined together, then there is a very high chance that the company will enjoy higher sales growth. So if you combine all these three factors, it is said that the companies will achieve 42% achieved strong growth in their international sales. They receive 2.5 times greater probability of strong growth in their profits. And 93% of companies who don't practice these three strategies, they won't see a strong increase in their export sales. But there are some things that you should monitor when you are expanding to a different market. There are some blind spots that you should watch out for. Some of it includes cultural differences. So when you are entering a different market, you need to study about their cultural habits, the demographics over there, what is accepted and what's not accepted. Then the next thing is the financial capacity and the resources that your business have. Do you have enough working capital to sustain in another market for the next 12 to 24 months? Some other things that you should consider is the legal and regulatory requirements, like the tariffs, the duties, the taxes that comes with the expansion as well. As I discussed before, studying your competition in the foreign market is very important. So make sure you do proper research on who are your competitors, what they're selling, and how you can beat them. Next is also making sure you have the proper skill sets and HR capacity. Every business always have some areas to improve on. So make sure your foundation and your processes are strong enough that you can go to the next step and expand in the foreign market. Make sure your supply chain is efficient. So a lot of times our supply chains of companies, they're lacking efficiencies. So make sure your delivery, your logistics, your distribution channels, you have already worked on those before you enter any other foreign market. The choice of target market is always important as well. Make sure you are selling the product where it has a demand, or something which they know about. So this will all come with the market research, and Claudia would talk more about the expansion plan. The next thing is partner selection. So make sure you have the right partners, you have the right distribution channel before you can expand. So before we go to the next step, I would just emphasize the importance of making sure do the proper research, have a structured plan before you enter any foreign market. And I would now move the slides, and I would ask Claudia to take it over from here so she can talk about what a market expansion plan includes. Yes, Claudia, you can proceed now.
Actually, Miriam, I think you're the one who runs the next slide, right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So expanding to a new market has lots of benefits. It seems a little scary when you think about it, but here's some of the benefits. You increase your revenue, you grow faster, you have higher productivity and competitiveness. That makes you better able to weather the economic storms, and you get better connections. And we also find that companies have they're much more innovative, the ones that export, and they use a lot other different technologies to help them. And all these things added together give them a better ability to stay in business. So there's lots of really good benefits. Next slide. This is Miriam's really critical slide here. These are the critical success factors that you need. So I'll go and talk about expansion plan details, but if anything to remember, these are the critical success factors. Really look at your competition, take a look, making sure you have your sufficient resources and the management team is on board. Overall, what this really says is have a structured plan. Really look what you're setting into, where you're going before you go there. So structured plan is the key. So next slide, please. So here's some of the benefits of having a structured plan is it'll really, having thought over through everything, it'll really speed up your market entry. They'll cut down your learning curve. It'll save you time, money, and effort. And you'll have identified the risks and figured out how to go around them so that you can avoid bad things happening to you along the way. And that'll give you a lot more credibility and a lot more return on your investment. And overall, you'll feel more confident that you can pull this off. Next slide, please. Okay, so here now we're going to dive into a little bit about the details of having an expansion plan. And it really boils down to two sections. One is plan it and then execute. And the better job you do at the planning, the easier execution goes. So next slide, please. So here's some details on the planning part. 1, 2, 3. So the first one is really look at your company as a whole and assess your readiness to go into a new market. And there's a number of factors in that, but it's really about, are you strong enough? Do you have that financial capacity to enter? Do you have your processes in order? Do you really know how to market yourselves in a different place where you're not going to be so hands-on? Those are the kinds of things that go into market readiness. Number 2 to look at is, of course, where you're going to land. What is what competition happening there? How does the demand look? For instance, if you're going to go into the US, you don't have to attack all the states at once. You can just pick 1 or 2 states to enter and do them really well. And really know what's going on there. Again, it will help you figure out which states to go into or how to approach whatever market you're going into. And the third part then is really, once you have done your look at yourself and a look at where you want to enter, you'll have a better idea of how to attack, what kind of strategy you attack, how to enter, and how to win, because that's what the name of the game is. Next slide, please. Okay, so you have your plan, and now we're going to look at execution. And this is interesting because there's 3 different ways to execute your plan. And you can use one or you can combine them. So the first one we're talking about is you can just enter online. Just opening up an Amazon store in the new region you want to go to and driving business to online is one way to enter a new market. You can do it a lot easier than if you have to go there and set everything up, which is the second and third one is a lot more hands-on. So the second way is finding partners to figure out how to enter those markets and doing it through partnerships. And that's when you do a structured plan, you'll really figure out which partners should we partner with and which ones maybe should we avoid. So that's another benefit of having a structured plan. And the last one is a distribution plan, which is really looking at the compliance of your product and all the details of all the kinds of technical and legal kinds of things. For instance, which certifications do you need for food products to go into a different country? Those kind of technical pieces. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, now we're going to talk about advisory support. And as Miriam said, BDC is about offering financing, and it also offers advisory services. And we're one of the largest advisory service providers in Canada. And these advisory services can help you diversify your business, increase your operational efficiency, improve your financial management and cash flow position, and also help you assess and purchase technology and other types of innovations. And one thing that makes BDC very different, there's a number of things, but one of them is we have a very structured, proven way to enter, to think about advisory, and at the same time, we customize it for your company. So whatever level you're at, we're going to take you to that next level so that you're really good at operating at that level and you know what the client, what the coach knows. We want you to learn what the coach knows so that you have what you need to grow as an entrepreneur and as a company. And we'll also focus on quick wins as well as the long-term thinking things that have to happen. So here's an overview of the different types of advisory expertise we have at BDC. In the first column on the left are things that help drive revenue, sales and marketing, business strategy, e-commerce. I'll go into them in a little bit of depth soon. In the middle are things, sort of back office things, financial management, operations efficiency, digital things, including like cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data automation things, and certifications such as HACCP programs. We can help you with those as well. And then the last column are people things, leadership, management, and human resources. So I will quickly now, before I go into those in depth more, I wanted to just present something that just got launched this week. And this is in response to the US tariff threat, I guess we have. And this is a new program to help companies. It's called the Trade Resilience Assessment. And its focus is what key risks need to be addressed immediately. And these are companies that are about 2 million to larger. It's about 35 hours of looking at your company and really making that assessment. And we've discounted it to $5,000 for the price. And the things that we'll look at in the assessment is really your financial health. And this is your key ratios, your break-even point, your burn rate, cash flow things, the quality of your financial management tools to really give you assessment of health in terms of financials. And then using that information to help us or help you scenario plan and figure out if the worst case happens, if the best case happens, and other things that will probably happen in between. How do you model that? How do you think about that? And what does it mean for your company and your health? And as well, in this assessment will be a high-level business evaluation, looking at your strengths, vulnerabilities, and how you can, what flexibility you have to handle those marketing challenges that will be coming. And all interwoven into this assessment is advice, and as well as an action plan of what to do after this assessment of how to move forward. So that's the assessment plan. And in the next slide, we'll also have a plan. That's the plan part. So if you need something more rigorous, and this is for companies a little bit bigger, starting at 5 million, this is a plan, one of those areas that you need help with, and it's much more rigorous. So it's 100 hours worth of time, and it's been discounted as well to $15,000, regularly $25,000. So we'll look at one focus area. It could be your financial resilience. It could be which we talked about just now in the assessment a little bit. It could be on your operations efficiency and supply chain to increase that efficiency of that whole process there. Or it could be on the market side, looking at what's going in your market. Maybe there's other markets to identify and how to approach them. So these are two brand new programs we have at BDC that can help you if you need this kind of help. So now we'll go back to our regular types of advisory projects. And I'll touch on a couple of them. Let's start with the sales and marketing project. So our sales and marketing project, there's a number of benefits to it, I guess. The first is to really see what's working and what's not. And to help you, again, get to that next level, we'll look at those gaps and we'll figure out what's the way that makes sense to grow to the next level. What do you need? And that's looking at the opportunities and figuring out how to make those opportunities come to life so that they actually produce results for you. And in this project as well, there'll be a roadmap of strategy and tactics you can use and you'll try out to help you reach those increased sales targets. And as well, we'll look at the digital presence that you have online and how to reach more customers online, because that's a huge, of course, component of marketing, sales and marketing programs today. So next slide, I think, is a testimonial. Yeah, so this is one of our clients, and in their testimonial, one thing you'll read is he says, "I am very confident that we can meet our sales targets and take the company to new heights." And confidence is really one of the benefits that happens when companies take our advisory services, it really gives them know-how. I know what's going on now. I feel more confident working at that next level. I know what to do. So that's one testimonial. The next one we'll go on to another advisory solution we have is called business strategy. So the sales and marketing is more for, like, I know that many of your food companies, if you're going into a new market, you won't have sampling, for example, anymore because you won't be local. So how do we go into a new market without sampling? And what kind of strategies we need to have products be pulled by customers through the store? So that's an example of using sales and marketing advisory project. Business strategy is a little bit different. And this is about if you have many, many opportunities and you're trying to figure out which direction to go, or you've run out of opportunities and you need a new strategic direction. So this is really about helping you create that strategy of how to grow forward and getting your team aligned behind that one inspiring, attainable vision. And the second part of it is the planning part. So now that we have this new strategy of how to move forward, how do we make that come to life? Who does what? How do we measure that? And how do we get things going in the direction we need to have done? And what are the gaps and how do we fill them? So that's some insight on business strategy. And I think we have a testimonial again. This is a donut company I thought you might like to hear from another food company. And in this project, we increased their sales over 3 years by 6 times. So this is what happened to this particular company. We don't guarantee any results of what happens in our advisory projects, because one part of it is what you put into the project, and every company will be different. But this is just one testimonial example of good things that happen. Next slide. Okay, so the last advisory project that's possible to do is called e-commerce. And this is really about helping you become much more successful selling online. And this project is 2 pieces. One is it to help you have a stronger, robust online store, and we'll help guide you through the process. We use Shopify as our platform, and we'll help you set it up and tailor it to your specific needs and the specific messaging. And then we'll also show you how to run an e-commerce business, which is slightly different, for example, than other business models, and how to make it profitable. And the other part of that is, once you have the website, how to drive sales to that website, or what else you can do to make those sales happen, because there's lots more that happens besides the website, as we know. So I think we have another testimonial on this one. Yeah, and this was a client that again he did a project with us, and in his case, his testimony is about helping him find blind spots that he didn't know. You sometimes don't know what you don't know, and so we go through everything with our team of coaches to make sure that you are considering everything that you need to have success. So next slide. Okay, so I guess we have a little bit of time still. I can go into some of the other advisory projects that we have. This group of advisory projects now look at the back office. So after revenue is in good shape, the next thing to look for is to make sure that the revenue that you have lands as profit. So this project is on financial management. And financial management is really understanding all the key concepts, when the bank people talk about ratios and different types of concepts, that you understand what they're talking about and you know what your numbers should be. And then it's looking at your cash flow and really getting a handle of how to think about that, how to populate it, how to run that cash flow so that it's actually providing great value for your thinking and how you manage your business. Every business decision has a financial impact, and you can see that in your financials. And the way BDC's financial management project, I guess, is unique is that we really want the entrepreneurs to understand all the gears in that black box of financial management and how they work, so that they can control this for business decisions and use their financials to make informed business decisions. So that's cash flow, and you'll also understand performance. And here's a testimonial. Again, this is another food company for you as an example. And this gentleman is talking about the significant improvements he saw in his gross margins in a small amount of time. So that's an example of what happens. There's another example here, and it's about, all the things related to financials, margins, profitability, knowing how to calculate costs of your products and your supplies, really understanding your overhead. And KPIs are key performance indicators, like a dashboard, like if you go to the doctors and get blood work, it's an early indicator of what's happening. That's what key performance indicators are, and you'll have that for your business. So if something is just a little bit off, you'll see them already in these performance key performance indicators, and then you'll already be ready to know, okay, this is a problem that's coming, and I'll know what to do to make it so that it doesn't grow into a bigger problem. So you're always got the pulse on your business. Operations efficiency is another one of our projects that we can do together. Operations efficiency is about, it starts off sort of making an inventory of all the things that are wasteful in your company and all different types of ways to think about them. And then picking a couple quick wins, about 3 things that if we did them would make a really big impact on the business, and teaching you together with the coach how to really make an improvement here on these quick wins. And so that after, you're working smarter, not harder, and you also have the know-how to continue, which is what we want in all the projects we do together with you. You have the know-how afterwards of what to do and how to do it, so that you always have these new ways of thinking in your minds and helping you run your business. Another testimonial here. This company here, they produced 30% increase in revenue without having to add new accounts, and they doubled their capacity through a new equipment purchase. So many different types of savings happens with operations efficiency. And now on to the people side of the business, leadership and management. There's a number of ways that this kind of project can help you. It's often that as entrepreneurs, and I was one myself, so I know that we are sometimes get in our own way, and to go to the next level, sometimes we have to mature as entrepreneurs, and we have to figure out what the next level looks like, because the things that work to get us this far often don't work at the next level we have to grow to. So this is an interesting project that always is different for every company. Some of the things that we work on is maybe role clarity, or figuring out other ways to track your performance, problem solving, making a change happen. There's many variations of this project, but it is really about helping you manage your business better, having more role clarity so that everyone is happier and more productive, and having a management framework and a way to measure things so that the company runs more like a machine through people. And here's another testimonial. I love how he says, my life is 10 times better since he's been working with the experts here. They made him rethink his business, improve his team engagement, organizational flow, and efficiency. Human resources. This now is about the team. It's a little bit different than the leadership management part. And there's a number of ways to run this project. One is that sometimes people have troubles, or companies have troubles hiring and retaining employees. So maybe there's some ways we develop to help that get better, so that culture is improved and the structure of how the business operates is a lot happy. The team is much happier doing that. So we can look at operations. We can look at your operational structure. It could even include your employee handbook here, and how you define roles and how you create those roles. So this will be, again, customized, like all the projects, customized to a particular area of need. Another testimonial here. Now he has buy-in from his management team. They're a stronger team. There's more rigor and role and clarity in the company vision, and it's more alignment. And things that are related to people, the leadership, and the employee things are often interesting. They look like they're invisible, but when they're done right, they feel really good. You can feel the difference. That's one thing I always find interesting about these people projects. The next kind of project here is digital technology. And there's a number of new projects we have under digital technology. Some of them are, we can look at data automation, using AI tools to help not just the process parts of your business, like the back office, but also in your sales and marketing, using AI there. There's also cybersecurity, and really using that to maximum, because often small businesses are the target for cybersecurity damage that happens, right? And in this digital structure here, the usual structure is we'll learn about what's possible for digital in some aspect of your company, and then we'll look at some like vendors that you should consider, or we could consider, with different options and what they would mean to your business, looking at 3 different options there, and then helping you make that decision of which kind of vendor should we go with, and taking advantage of the coach's impartial advice that they have for different types of options. And here again is a testimonial. Again, I mean, there's lots of choices in digital, and knowing what to look for besides the obvious features they give you and how to compare apples to oranges is often very challenging. And like this founder says, BDC's digital project helped him make clear decisions. And here's one of the last ones I'll talk about, certifications. So for food and safety, there's, of course, the GSFI certification and the HACCP certification. If you need help here, BDC has coaches and a program that can help you make those come to life as well. And now I'm going to let Miriam talk again, because when it comes to money and financing, that's Miriam's specialty.
Thanks, Claudia. So I'll just talk about the financing side of things. So for this advisory project, BDC does provide subsidized consulting loans that are available to client at discounted interest rate. And the good thing is, along with the consulting loan, BDC does provide some extra working capital at the same interest rate as well, so that you can go ahead and implement these advisory solutions and the recommendations from the coach accordingly. So these are like higher percentage of financing loans with flexible repayment terms. There is limited personal guarantees, and the terms and conditions are flexible for the borrower. And before I move on to the questions, I just wanted to thank everybody who attended the webinar today. But I also wanted to say the summary of our presentation is, although we didn't deal too much on the implementation side, but the purpose was to tell you what BDC can offer you in terms of financing and advisory to help you grow and take your business to the next level, whether it's expanding to other provinces, whether you are planning to export outside the country, BDC can help you in different ways. I'll be sharing my contact information. I can always connect you with Claudia and the coaches that we have. And also, I would also emphasize on the importance of visiting BDC's website. We do have a ton of resources, free resources that are available there. So we have free business plan templates, we have calculators, some webinars, and also the market research and data related to every industry. So make sure you visit there. And when you are thinking about expanding, always have a structured approach, always have a strategic mindset, always focus on your improving and making your systems efficient, and then going on and taking on the next step to expand in a foreign market. So if you have any questions or if you need any help, we both are always here. I'm based out of in Winnipeg, Claudia's in Ontario, but we are here to help you. So off to you, Kathy.
Perfect. Thanks, Miriam. Okay, so we have a few questions here. So what should you consider when determining which business expansion strategy to go with for your business?
That's the one about, do we go online or do we go there in person? Is that, I guess, what it means?
Well, I think it maybe even drives back to, what are the goals and objectives of the company and what's their business profile and aspects like that.
So I can add, So every business, I would say, is different. Every business is unique. Their competition is different, their customers are different, and their supply chains are different. So when it comes to where do we start, like BDC does have market assessment and strategic planning programs where the coach can sit down with the business and they can go over the business model and identify the new opportunities for them. So what might work for one business might not work for the other. For someone, opening a retail store might be the next expansion strategy. For another business, going online and selling online across Canada might be a better strategy, right? So for every business, I would say it is different. And Claudia has worked with many clients on strategic planning sites, so she can add more.
It is exactly that. They're different. And also sometimes going about it differently to your competitors can actually be an advantage. It'll sometimes give you a bit different business model and a different set of tools to play with. So it depends.
Okay. Commenter says, hi, Miriam and Claudia. Thank you for the presentation. What would you estimate as a general timeline for an SME to develop a domestic expansion plan into a new province?
Well, I guess it depends how hard you work. um, I think you can do it in a couple weeks. Yep. And when we have our projects, like for instance, if they're a small business, sort of under 2 million-ish, we have a project called probably it could be sales and marketing, it could be strategic planning. I'm not sure, but they're both done in about 3 or 4 months. But part of that is in the first the first month or two is about really understanding that market, so you have a structured approach entering it, and then trying it out as the other parts of the 3 or 4 month period. So it can be done rather quickly. And I think in this market, in this time right now, the economic uncertainty, thinking about it quickly is sort of one of your assets that you could develop, right? It's an advantage.
Perfect. How many markets should a company look at expanding to at one time, and why?
This can get you in trouble because if you expand to many of them, you'll run out of money and resources and abilities, right? And often some people say, yes, I'm expanding to the States. And they don't realize that each state is very different often, right? For instance, there was a large protein provider, Vega, I think I read in a news article a couple of years ago. Instead of taking on all of the states at once, they took on two states that were very health oriented, and they made a name for themselves in those two states. And then they were able to take it from there, right? So I'd say go slow and understand what you're entering and what you're capable of, right? Miriam, do you have something to add?
I would recommend the same thing to make sure your strategy is sustainable. Make sure your systems, your working capital situation, your financial situation, and your systems are strong enough to support your expansion, right? So if you're entering 5 markets at a time, which is not sustainable, that's not a good strategy. Make sure you do 1 at a time or 2 at a time, but do your research first, assess your competition there, and then enter the market. So.
And going slow is another nice thing that value that it does is if you go 1 or 2 at a time, you learn a lot and you make mistakes. And you won't make the same mistakes in many markets because sometimes you only really have one opportunity to enter well, right? Or with style and success. Yeah.
Great. This leads right into the next question. So what would be your top 3 considerations for companies putting together an interprovincial exporting plan, or in this case, a business expansion plan, which you're referring to the same thing? What do we need to consider to increase our chances of success in any market?
Well, what was that slide that we repeated, Miriam?
I can go over that. So the top 3 success factors, which are like proven by BDC case studies as well, is make sure you study your competition. So study your competition, see what they're doing, what their strategies are before you enter a new market. Also, make sure when you are expanding, your management treats that as a priority, right? So it's not like a side project that you're looking to expand in a different market. Make sure it's part of your strategic plan. Make sure it's your top priority. And the last thing is also make sure you have enough resources available on hand to take on the next step. So if you have all of these three things in place, you will have a high success rate. And as I said in that slide before, 93% of the companies who do not have these three things, like when they are not, when they haven't done the proper research, when they don't have enough resources, and when it's not a top priority for their management, they're not likely to succeed. So make sure these factors are there.
Perfect. Can you highlight the main elements of that should be included in a business expansion plan?
Yeah, well, I guess the way to think about it is there's me first. So our company, what do we have? What can we do? How strong are we? What are our strengths? What are our vulnerabilities? And then that's the place you're going to. What's the lay of the land? Who's there? Who's playing? What are the dynamics? What are we getting ourselves into?
Sure.
And then from there you can see, okay, that's the game. What's our game? How are we going to win this game? Right? What do we need to win that way we want to play? So this is the three ways. Look in yourself, look at where you're going, and then figure out what's the gap and the way to attack this idea of going into a new market. What's the plan to win?
Yeah, I would also say the same thing. Make sure you analyze your own business first before going out and doing more research on the next market. Make sure you look at the strengths of the shareholders, the strength of your products, and then who are your competitors, how's your industry doing, how's the market doing, and then also look at the risks that are involved in terms of expansion, all the regulatory, all the legal aspects of the things before you move to a different market. And also, before spending your dollars, make sure you're spending on the right strategy. So make sure you have an expert or a consultant who can sit down with you and guide you to the next step. So, yeah.
And if you need help doing that, BDC has great projects to help people with an expansion plan, and also to help assess who they are, having a really strong sales and marketing program in their own markets first, right? And often when you work with an expert, you see new things that you didn't know before, and it takes you to the next level of your thinking. And going to a new market is, in many ways, a next level thinking, right? Some of the things that worked before might not work in a different market. So being prepared that way, and like I said, if you need help, BDC can help you. All you need to do is contact Miriam, and all three of us will get together, like the company, Miriam and me, and we'll brainstorm and we'll figure out a way to help you forward.
Yeah, and this is the best time to do it because with these proposed tariffs and everything, BDC has also launched some different solutions like Ask an Expert and then expanding through interprovincial trade. So we have different solutions for different businesses as well. So right now it's a good time to get ready and start expanding in other provinces. So.
Okay, so the next question you have you have spoken to it, so I'll ask it and then just let me know if there's anything you would like to add to the comments you've already made. So what should a company look for to know that they are ready to interprovincially trade?
Another good question. And I think the first part of answering that is, well, are you really strong in the current market that you have, right? And what does that strength mean? Like not just demand, but do you have the capacity to handle more, right? And sometimes that might be that we need more people, we need more technology, and also look at your financial control as well, that cash flow piece. And if Miriam is, of course, the banker, she'll so lots of things about knowing your cash flow and all the financial management kinds of thinking that go with that, right?
So I can talk from more of the financing perspective is when a client is coming to us and they say we are looking to expand in another province. So BDC does help provide, like we do provide them financing. So some of the things that we look on their financials is their revenues, has the revenues been increasing year over year? And then their cash flows, are they able to afford more debt with this expansion? We ask for next 2 to 3 year projections after, let's say, when they enter the new market. How do they think their projections would be? And also we look at their balance sheet position as well, how strong their asset position is, how strong their equity position is. So once the company, as Claudia said, if they're strong financially, then the banks are not hesitant to lend them more money to open a second location. So if they want to buy, let's say, a competitor in another province, BDC can help them with that. If they want to set up an online store, our advisory team can help them with that. Or even if they want to like be integrate into their value chain and do some backward integration, let's say if they want to buy out their supplier or start selling something else, then we can help on that side as well. So yeah.
Perfect. Do you have an average or an estimate as to what it costs a company to enter a new market?
That'll be your question, Miriam. I don't have one. It's different for everyone we know. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the size of the business, right? For like every industry is different, every business is different. For restaurants, when they are expanding into new market, it depends on the, as I said, on the market as well. The cost in Manitoba might be different from the cost of opening a location in Ontario, right? The fixed costs are much higher in bigger provinces than in Manitoba right now. So every province is different. But for restaurants, I've seen it's like in other provinces, it's like 500-600 grand at least. Manufacturing, if somebody is looking to open a manufacturing or production facility, it might be in millions of dollars as well. So it depends on the size of the project, the location where they're opening, and then um, yeah, how many employees they are hiring, their fixed costs, their overheads, and the variable cost as well. For every business, it's different.
I guess if you were looking at a cheaper way to go, it would be if you had something that could be sold online, something easily to ship, maybe you could open up an Amazon store in a different place and test it out with running maybe ads or something, right? So that might cost less than the
Yeah, an Amazon store, a Shopify online store that people can just purchase online, and you can ship it out from Winnipeg here all across Canada. So that can help you save on some fixed cost as well.
Yeah.
And one thing more I want to add is BDC does have some special incentives for manufacturers and exporters. So usually we have a loan processing fee, but if somebody is, if a client is buying equipment through BDC and they're a manufacturer or exporter, so they don't pay any like loan processing fee on equipment purchase. They get 2 years of equipment line of credit to buy more equipment, and they get preferential interest rates on the loans as well.
Perfect. Are there any programs similar to the two new ones that you mentioned to support businesses with less than 2 million, I'm assuming in revenue or sales, with the new tariffs?
That's a good question. So internally at BDC, for our clients, we have special programs for them. But I brought the two to the presentation today because I think we can sell them to any company in Canada. So internally we do for clients, but in general, I guess I could say that companies that are below 2 million, we do offer small business solutions, and it is the ones we talked about today in size, sort of size small. And size small would be a project that's $7,500 for 3 or 4 months of working with a coach to help them through one of these activities or parts of their business that needs growth, right? And again, Miriam and I will be happy to talk to a company. Reach out to Miriam, and we'll set up a call, and we'll figure out what would be the best one of these kinds of programs that could help a company move forward, right?
Perfect. And last but not least, are there any business and marketing tools, resources, intelligence that you would like to point out for the audience that would be helpful for them in their business planning?
We've got
Yeah,
a,
so
yeah.
on BDC website, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of free resources available. There are free cash flow calculators available. There are free business plan template. So, and that's a very comprehensive template. So you can put all you just have to fill out the details. The template is already there. And there is like benchmarking tool, which you can use to assess yourself in the industry, how the industry is doing, how you are doing. BDC also publishes like the outlook on the economy and how the industries are doing. So make sure you take advantage of those articles. We do have free webinars that are posted on our website. So we did recently 2 webinars in February that was done by our economists. So those are also posted on our website. I can send the link to Kathy as well. So there are a lot of free resources, tools on BDC's website. Just go to bdc.ca and then you can do. And also companies can also apply for online financing, anything up to $100,000. It's called small business loan through BDC. So you can just apply online if you have been in business for at least 2 years and if you have proper financials available. So that is also an option.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Miriam and Claudia, for a high-level overview of what to consider when developing a business expansion plan and identifying BDC's resources to help food and beverage manufacturers and brand owners throughout the process.